hang on a second. Hotshot? I. What are you. Never mind. I didn't expect to see you again. Or if some part of me did, I definitely didn't expect it so soon. Are you okay? You know what? Come on in. Yeah, I'm still working on it. It's only been a couple of days. I've only just finished collating all the data from the first few hours across all the various cameras and other devices. I still have hours worth of content to go through for that, which will probably take me another week, I would think, with a building of that size. Oh, plus all the research that needs to get done into the building itself to see if the identity of the ghost can be figured out. I've been trying to hit that some on my downtime, but life doesn't always go the way you expect it to, you know? What are you doing here? I mean, you're welcome to be here, don't get me wrong, and I'm. Well, another set of eyes and ears isn't exactly unwelcome, especially on a case this intensive. If that's why you're here, that is. There's no pressure or expectation, because I don't know if that's why you're here, and I certainly don't want to assume or impose. Oh, you are? That's that's great. Now I feel like less of an idiot. I've still got that laptop. Give me a second and I can get it set up for you. Go ahead and pull up a seat. Oh, oh shoot. Haley must have come and grabbed it. I know she was working on a case tonight that was possibly, hopefully, gonna really pop off. She'd mentioned that she might need it, and I guess she did in the end. Yeah, for the senior investigators anyway. We all pitch in and help each other with cases and stuff. There's no point really locking our individual office doors. Is that how it works in journalism? I wondered what angle you'd finally go with. At least that one makes some amount of sense. And for the record, so you can quote me on this if you really want to, I hate that you're making me think this way. Look, just because our computers aren't password protected doesn't mean our data is corruptible or that it's been tampered with. The front door to the building is locked if no one is here, and the only people with keys to the front door are the senior team members. Clients who come to the premises are never left unescorted or unsupervised. Data is backed up on several levels at various stages of investigation to a password protected cloud. So even if someone were to come in here and take my thumb drive or sneak in while I was getting some coffee and plant false evidence, it would be found out. In the case of falsified evidence, it might take a few days, but it will be found. But we've also never had that happen in the history of the society. The society were some of the first people to denounce those faked spiritualist ghost pictures that were so popular in the early 1900s. They had no problem calling them out as fakes and demonstrating how it was done. One of our founders was the son of Sarli's famous medium back in the late 19th century, and he was all too happy to essentially write a book on how that actually worked. Yeah, we still have a copy of it in the Society's library. But that's not. I keep telling you, we know what we're doing. Even if it looks different from what you know or expect or are used to. Our jobs are similar to a degree, but they aren't the same. I wouldn't come to the paper and tell you how to write articles. I wouldn't question your research methods unless I didn't understand. Oh, is that is that what this really is? Because that would make so much more sense than you calling all of this into question again, especially now. Hey, that isn't what I said, and it isn't what I meant to imply. I cannot apologize enough if that's how it came across. You're highly intelligent in the first place, and a really good, engaging reporter in the second. I mean, I'm pretty sure I told you more than once I've read your work and liked it. But different things are different, right? Even if they might share similarities. And it's completely understandable if something that's so close to something you know at a core level is frustrating in its differences from your experiences and expectations. And it's also okay if those differences are confusing or concerning. But it doesn't mean they're wrong. What works for reporters, especially investigative journalists, makes sense. Any number of bad actors might want to tamper with a story in progress or falsify evidence. Here, that isn't so much the case. And even if someone were to try, it's often a lot easier to figure out than what you're up against. CGI is getting better and better, but at the end of the day, a lot of times, it's still really easy to detect as a fake, especially when you know what you're looking at. Time, practice. It doesn't take special education or anything, not like with a handwriting examiner. Which, can I just comment really quickly on how fascinating that is as a field? Anyway, discerning the fake evidence from the real stuff is something you get used to really quickly, and it's something that gets easier the more you do it. I can tell you a genuine orb from a gnat catching the light wrong in about 3 seconds now. Thanks, but it's really not. Haley only needs a fraction of that. By the time you can process there's something on the screen and that you need to make a determination, she's already come to a conclusion. I've never seen her be wrong yet. Nope. She's been doing this longer than I've been alive, so she's got a bit of experience under her belt. She was actually one of the people leading my first investigation, so I've been learning from her for years. Oh, maybe one day I'll get that fast at it too. You look a little looser, but something's still bugging you. No pun intended. What's up? That tone isn't quite conversational. How official is that question? I still don't know how you're intending to write your article at the end of the day. I know I've guessed a few things, but I've refrained from asking out of professional courtesy. At the end of the day, the work you do is good and necessary. Sometimes bad people are truly hiding bad acts behind good facades, and someone needs to rip the masks off of those. Like a literary superhero. I wasn't gonna say it, but sure. Or like the Scooby Gang. Point being, I don't know what your intentions are anymore. And I don't want to set a match and catch kindling when all I intend to do is light a candle. If that even makes sense. I've told you, the society and its well being are personal for me. I don't want to accidentally put a foot wrong and send you down a rabbit hole that doesn't actually exist, but where my words can be twisted to make it seem like something's there. 2 days ago, you probably. Thanks. I appreciate that. So, were you wanting an official answer about what I dislike most about the job? Or are we strictly in the realm of the conversational? In that case, when I don't have answers, believe it or not, I always am able to determine if a case is legitimate, even if I have to come back to a site. Yeah, sometimes it takes more than one visit. Ghosts are just people. Do you always feel like interacting or being talkative or anything like that? I'm sure there are some nights where you come home and fall right into bed. Not that ghosts literally do that because they don't have biological needs like sleep, but on the metaphorical level, they can. Anyway. Or what about nights where you just don't want to do anything with anyone? In that regard, ghosts are just like us. Sometimes ghosts are shy, just like there are shy people. They won't interact with you or even in your presence until they know you a little. So, yeah, I've had to go back to some case sites more than once. But on the physical investigation, I always get answers, even if it takes time and a lot of effort. I'm not always so lucky with the historical investigation, for lack of a better word. I don't always know the who. I can't always figure out the why. And I hate that part. I don't like unanswered questions. I want to know. There's a surety and a peace that comes from actually being able to pinpoint these things. But sometimes the answer truly is, I just don't know. And that I won't ever know in this lifetime. Sometimes there's too much information to sift through to be useful, which is likely going to be the case with the investigation you went on unless I get really lucky. But the flip side of the coin happens a lot too, and there isn't enough information to be able to even cobble together a theory. Sometimes you get really lucky with those, like with Amelia and the antique store. But more often than not, you don't. More often than not, the answer is, I don't have an answer. I hate that part. I figured you would. I've learned to make peace with it as much as I can. Mostly by reminding myself that I wouldn't fault anyone else in my position working with the same information for coming to the same conclusion of inconclusiveness. Because really, when you've done all you can, at the end of the day, you have to accept that you truly did the best you could with the tools you had. You can only turn over the same set of stones so many ways. When all you have is a particular set of information to work with, you're gonna come back with answers that correlate to that set of data. And it's so frustrating when that's incomplete and you're left holding the bag on it, especially for someone like me. But if this job is slowly teaching me one thing, as much as I hate that one thing, it's that not every problem has an answer. Sometimes it really is just an unknown, at least to you. I'm trying to learn to make peace with the idea of accepting that you did your best regardless. It's definitely a process, and I'm not always a quick learner. I do. It's a historical building that's been through a lot. I still haven't dug into its history yet, so I've got some glimmer of hope that some remarkable event will turn up that would lead to a perfect solution. But I'm trying not to bank on that, because it isn't necessarily likely. Since you're here, do you want to come back to the library with me? There's a laptop in there. I can start poking through the building's history, and you can see that book about fraudulent mediums. Though don't get your hopes too high. It's really more of a pamphlet than a book. But it's still cool, even if only for its historical value. Sounds like a plan. Come on, I'll take you back there.